Coming up on this week's episode of Standing While Black.
I will say there's number one rule. Never, ever, ever do blackface.
This is Standing While Black, a weekly podcast discussing Black experiences in fandom. I'm your host, Ashley Briggs, and thank you for checking out the show. Black fans worldwide are speaking out in fandom spaces, but are their voices being heard? And how can art forms such as anime and manga, which are rooted in Eastern cultures, better incorporate Western cultures and perspectives? This week, I had an enlightening discussion with Maurice Thomas, a co-host of the podcast Blerds Guide to the Galaxy, which you can find anywhere you get your podcasts. I hope you enjoy our conversation about inclusivity, representation, and making fandom a welcoming space for all fans. Let's get into it. Well, welcome to the show, Maurice. I'm so happy to have you. Thank you so much for your time. How's your week going so far?
It's going pretty well. Waiting for my kids to get back in school.
Counting down the hours.
Counting down the hours. I love them, and I love this time that we have spent together. But I could tell that they need their time away from me, and my partner and we need our time away from them. But it's all good. And it's also, I love introducing them to things like different things about nerd culture. I introduced them to Avatar: The Last Airbender series, but they play it so much. They watch all the episodes. So I'm kind of like, okay, I love the show, but man, I really don't love the show that much. But that's what you do when you're a kid. When you find something you love, you really just, you just grind the gears and you just watch it all the time.
That's so true.
I'm just dealing with that right now, but I love it. It's fun. It's fun. How was your week?
I mean, it's been great so far doing paperwork because I have a 5-year-old who's starting kindergarten. So I'm like, I don't know what it's like to send the kids to school and this whole back to school feeling. Like, I'm used to it for myself, but not sending an actual kid to an actual school. So he's eager. He's a social butterfly, and he cannot wait to meet other kids and make everyone his best friend in the world, and to show the world Minecraft and Pokemon, his favorite things.
Yes.
So he's going to be either super popular or he's going to find his crew, and it's going to be great. No matter what, he's going to have a good time. So I'm super excited for him. And then I'm about to waste or lose a bunch of money this weekend at a casino for my birthday. So I'm super excited to lose or win. We'll see.
Happy birthday. Well, just have fun. And yeah, that's what you do. Are you going to Vegas or anything like that? Or where are you going?
No, staying local. There's a casino about an hour from me, so just gonna go to look. Nice. The last time I was there, I hit like $5,000 jackpot on a slot machine. So I'm like, I don't know if I want to test my luck with that again, but we'll see.
Oh, that's nice.
So to start off, I want to ask you kind of a icebreaker question that I have. So here's the scenario.
Okay.
Clear your mind. No.
All right.
Okay. If a zombie apocalypse started tomorrow, what weapon would you choose to wield and why?
Oh, my friends and I, we actually talk about this all the time. Like, just what would happen? What would you do? And I would actually have a spade. Spade is really good. It's durable. It's has a good length because it's not really long or short. It's kind of in the medium. Also, if you need to dig something, but it also has sharp sides and sharp edges, so you could actually hit zombies in the head pretty easily. So I would use a spade.
Oh, that's a great choice. I was also thinking, like, I don't know what reality or what the rules of that world would be, but with the spade, you could kind of make sure they're dead or bury the bodies, make sure they're not coming back.
Exactly.
a
Exactly.
multi-purpose tool. So
Hmm.
I love that. Listeners, if you want to give your answer, please go to Twitter and hashtag standing while black and let me know what weapon you would choose. I think I would go with, I used to watch The Walking Dead. I quit around the time of that we lost Glenn way back when, but I
That
would
was
probably go with,
rough.
yeah, I
That
was
was
traumatized
real
and I
rough.
just completely quit. Like, I can't
I
do this anymore.
I also stopped then. I was that episode. I was like, man, this is too much. Y'all are taking too much.
Right. I feel like it was a punishment for the audience. Like, hey,
It really
I
was.
tuned in. I was excited and you guys hurt me. You hurt my feelings. So I would, on that note, I would go with like a machete or a katana. So something with some reach, keep some distance between me, social distancing with the zombies.
No,
And
that's really good.
yeah, and I don't want to have any kind of weapon where you need to reload or find ammo or make your ammo, like arrows, none of that. So something in my hands for sure.
That
Not
was
that I would actually
actually.
want to have to use it, but
Oh
yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly. But that was actually my second weapon right there, a machete, because it's nice and broad, and you could kind of slice and get it in there, and it's a little bit easier to pull out more
Yeah.
than a katana. You know, I feel like with a katana, you need more skill with it. I mean, Michonne's she's really getting it in there,
Yeah,
but
yeah. I'm like, I can't compare. I couldn't even begin to imagine having those skills, even the
yeah,
actress's skills. So
exactly, exactly. So I think a machete would definitely be a little bit more easier or user friendly.
true. So this week we're going to talk about anime as well as manga, and I want to ask you,
Sure.
how did you
Mhm.
first discover anime specifically? What's your background there?
I first discovered anime in the 80s. I was just at home one day and I was watching a movie, and it was an animated movie, and I saw that it was a different anime movie than what I was used to. It wasn't a Disney movie or anything like that. And it was called Unico and the Island of Magic. And if you ever see this movie, it's pretty creepy, unfortunately, because it's all about this little unicorn, and the gods of the world decide that they want to kill the unicorn. But the spirit of wind, I think it's the spirit of the wind of the north, takes the unicorn away so he doesn't get killed by the gods, and drops him off at a village. And you find out the village is being oppressed by a sorcerer who's actually turning the people into stone, and he makes his his castle out of people. And he has an apprentice who is a young boy who's actually trying to learn from the magician so that he could turn the people back. And
Hmm.
I remember watching it and I'm just like, this is really wild and really creepy, but I still want to kind of watch it. It's kind of like when
Yeah.
you watch a horror movie and you're like, oh, it's bad, but I kind of want to watch it. So that's how I really got into anime. I started watching that, then I started watching Robotech, Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon, and I just got more interested into these characters and into this different animation technique.
Awesome. Are you currently in the middle of watching anything that's really gotten your interest?
Yes, I am watching Attack on Titan, and I love it. I'm also watching Hero Academia and One Punch Man, and I'm sure there's a whole long list of others, but I have to watch them when my kids aren't watching, of course.
Right.
And you know, as a parent, there's not that much time that you have just by yourself. So an interesting thing about Attack on Titan, do you know anything about Attack on Titan?
Yeah, yeah. I'd probably say 10, 12 episodes. My husband watches, he's up to date, but I'm behind. So yes,
Oh,
I'm
okay.
definitely familiar with it.
Okay, fantastic. Well, I was told before I watched Attack on Titan, I wasn't told anything about Attack on Titan. They
Hmm.
just said, watch Attack on Titan. It's awesome. So I remember being at work, and then I was like, hey, I got time on my lunch break. I'm going to watch this Attack on Titan that everybody's talking about. I was thinking, oh, it's like Titan the moon. So maybe some people are attacking, like it's a space thing going on. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to get this. And it was like, I got a Philly cheese that day. So it's just sopping wet with grease and cheese and meat. And I'm just slopping on it. I'm like, this is all good. And I watched the first episode of Attack on Titan. I'm like, oh my God. And I just stopped eating because they're eating people, and I'm just like, this, no one warned me whatsoever.
I don't even know how you could like try to describe those visuals and the storyline, and it is definitely evocative.
Oh yeah, exactly.
When you watch anime, do you have a preference for either watching with subtitles or watching with dubbed voices?
I laugh because I know there is a culture out there in which some people are diehard sub, some people are diehard dub. For me, it depends on what I'm introduced to at first. I was first introduced to Dragon Ball Z through the dubs, and I could do some of the dubs. And then I started watching some of the later stuff now with subs, and I can go back and forth with that sometimes. But if it's an anime that I've really gone through with subs, like Kill la Kill, I love Kill la Kill. I watched Kill la Kill, and I went through it with the subs, went through the whole thing. Then I watched Kill la Kill on Adult Swim with the dubs. And I was just like, I can't really get it anymore because I've already have who I have set in my mind as a voice. Kind of like if you read a book, like when Harry Potter first came out, I read the first book and then I went to see the movie. And then I was like, oh, I didn't think that character would look like that. But okay, I see how that is. Kind of like that.
That makes sense. Yeah, you kind of get one set picture in your head of that first experience. Then after that, the rest feels like a cover.
Exactly.
Like it's not the thing that it was. So even though it's the same. So yeah, that makes sense. I tend to go with subtitles with anything I watch. I like to hear the actual voices and intonation and things like that. So dubbing always throws me off even on a first watch. So I guess I'm on the subs camp. Now, do you remember what might have been the first manga that you ever purchased?
Ooh, purchased. First manga I ever purchased was Naruto. I purchased that quite a long time ago, and I kept reading it, and I loved it. And it's ended, but I know they have the other series going, Boruto. But the first complete series that I've actually bought was Death Note, which I love that series, and that's one of my favorites.
How did you feel about the adaptation? I gotta ask.
I understand. Understandable. I actually have not seen it yet.
Oh, okay.
I'm one of those people that I won't dog it out or give negative reviews to it if I have not seen it. But if somebody has told me,
which should be a given, I feel, but some people, everyone's quick to make an opinion, and it's like, I'll watch it later, but I just know something sucks. Like,
exactly,
so I can respect that choice. Yeah.
But I do know, I have enough people who I actually respect their opinion that if they said, "Don't bother," I probably wouldn't go see it, or I would, wait till there's a time where I'm just sitting around doing nothing. And then I say, oh, okay, maybe I'll go check it out. That's how I got into seeing Wolverine Origins. I stopped halfway through.
Well, so definitely a time saver then, if you have people you can rely on who are going to tell you what's worth sitting through and what's not.
Exactly.
Now, just generally with anime as well as manga, what would you say, or what do you believe separates it from Western animation or Western comics?
Ooh, that's a very good question. From my opinion, it seems that they have more, when talking about not only manga, anime, and manhwa, which is Korean manga, you have more of a culture that they could pull from. So when you have all these different stories, they have their history interwoven and their culture interwoven. So you have like a far-flung future, but they still, are eating ramen, or you
Mm-hmm.
still have the comfort foods of today or years gone by. So I guess it would be for us. You do have the comics, and comics are really going to have a good story. You just gotta have your own culture and your own knowledge mixed into your stories that make you feel real good and give a real good sense of purpose with it. At least that's just my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Had
Not
another
saying that
one
I don't
follow
love
up.
comics, because I love DC, I
Oh,
love
not a
Marvel.
competition. More just,
Yeah, not a competition.
celebrating difference. See?
Exactly. Love Image Comics. Yeah.
Is there any particular storyline or character that comes to mind that you connect with most?
That I connect with personally,
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah. So personally,
Um,
anything that jumps out at a character or a particular moment or storyline, anything that really made an impact on you?
made an impact on me. Oh, that's very interesting. I would have to say, um, I really like Yu Yu Hakusho. So I like Yusuke Urameshi from Yu Yu Hakusho. It's an old anime, and he is just basically a hoodlum kid who ends up saving a kid and dying, but he's brought back to life, and he's basically called a spirit detective now. So he has to go after certain demons and denizens of evil to try to stop them from plaguing the world or the spirit world. And it's just him being a kid and not really like an authority, with getting saddled with responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
So throughout the series, a lot of times he just skates by, like he barely puts in the work, and a lot of times he barely gets out of a battle. But near by the end of the series, he understands that he has to put in the work, and that he has to take the mantle of responsibility for that. And one of the speeches that his mentor gives him has always stuck with me, and it says, her name is Genkai, and she says, "You have to do the right things, Yusuke, because every choice that you make affects the countless amount of people who care about you."
Mm.
And that's always stuck with me, that whatever choice I make will affect the people that know me and care about me.
Oh, that's a great messaging.
Yeah. I didn't know I would have that in my mind when I came on to talk to you.
Well, see, it comes out. Have you, I guess I should say, have you attended any fan events? This is pre-COVID and everything, just
Oh yeah,
over
understandable.
time. Yeah. It's like not lately, obviously.
Obviously
but
not
in the
lately.
past, back when we had things. Uh,
Back in the
have you
before times.
right? Have you gone to any fan events? And if so, have you ever participated in any kind of cosplay?
Yes, I have been to Dragon Con, Anime Weekend, Atlanta, MomoCon, and I have done a couple of cosplays. I've been Tyrese for The Walking Dead, which I love that. I've
Mm-hmm.
been one of the members of the organization from Organization 13 for Kingdom Hearts. What else? I've done a few others. They're not coming to mind. This past year, unfortunately 2020 happened, but my fellow host and we were actually going to do a cosplay. We were actually going to be Saiyans from Dragon Ball. So uh, hopefully next year everything will be cleared up, or later on this year, everything will be cleared up, and then we could actually debut those same costumes that we have. So that'd be very interesting, I think.
Well, I really hope so. I hope everyone can get back to conventions safely
Yeah.
sooner rather than later. And I know,
Same.
yeah. So that's going to be exciting when all fandoms can reunite bit by bit. So on that note, what would you say is the best way to show appreciation for other cultures as a fan when you're a fan of works of art from other cultures, what's the best way to show that appreciation without crossing a line over into crossing into appropriation or anything like that? Do you have any advice for someone who is new or wants to try cosplay, but they're concerned about any kind of backlash, anything like that?
I would say do what you do for the love of the character. People are going to take it however they will. You
Mm-hmm.
cannot you cannot change the way somebody will take your cosplay. But in saying that, I will say there's one number one rule: never, ever, ever do blackface.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I know you want to be
Sad that
Luke
in
Cage.
2021 we still have to say this, but yeah.
It is very sad. It's very sad. I know you want to be Luke Cage. Sure, just be Luke Cage, but don't put on the blackface. Just
Right.
just don't do it. And I know there are some dudes out there, or it might be some females who are just people, period, that would say, like, if I dressed up as Batman, they would come up to me and say, well, Batman's white. Well, I'm playing as Batman. I'm being Bruce Wayne. I'm just being that character. That's
Mm-hmm.
just showing my love for it. And in this day and age, I think a lot of people need to, keep their opinions to themselves, or just keep your opinions to yourself, because I'm showing my love for the character.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand why, say if you were out and you had on a just random thing, a Pokemon shirt, and then some guy said, oh, you're not a real fan of Pokemon, name like 4 Pokemon. He shouldn't do that. Like, why
Mm-hmm.
would he do that? You are a fan, you wore the shirt. Only thing he should have said is, love that shirt, I love Pokemon, and then move on. Don't need to quiz anybody about that. I don't understand what the mentality is to quiz people over anything. If it's like, hey, this is our sacred space, we're nerds and we've always had the space, and now it's getting so commercial, so we don't want these fake fans getting there. Who's to say that they're fake fans? If they just love the movies, hey, they just love the movies, they're fan of the movies, that's fine. There are people that I know that haven't even picked up a comic book, never will, but they love the movies, and we could still bond on that. Maybe I could give them some information for the comics that they didn't know about, that they like that character, and bring them in. But you know what? I'm not going to bring that information to them unless they ask about it. I'm not going to force myself on them, but just love the fact that we are in this space. We are loving this art, and everybody is a nerd together. It's just as simple as that.
Preach. Well, yeah, woo.
You
Yeah,
know,
that's exactly what a lot of people need to hear.
they
And
do.
it's the commonality of fandom experiences that can make people so much closer if they allow it. But there's this elitism that comes in certain spaces, or it's like, I've been a fan of this longer, or I know more, or I've been here or there. And then it just becomes that commercial capitalistic thing that none of us really want to be a part of. So I think that's great of just appreciating that these different stories, we can all connect to them no matter what medium they come to us in, whatever packaging, that we're still sharing a community, and that it's important to respect each other within those spaces, especially if someone is coming into it, the more the merrier, versus trying to make it so exclusive that you can't learn from each other and grow as different fandoms. So I think he's obviously said it better than me because I can't speak anymore. But
No. That sounds
yeah,
great. That sounds
uh,
great. That's why I was quiet. I was like, oh, she's so poignant.
no, specifically as a Black fan, do you
Mhm.
feel embraced by your fandom, either online or offline? You can speak on either one, but how has your experience been as a Black fan?
As a Black fan, sometimes I feel that I'm not heard or seen. Uh, just some characters, like there's the infamous Mr. Popo from Dragon Ball Z.
Mm-hmm.
He's very dark skinned and has bright red lips. Um, then there's One Punch Man. There was a character on there who was called Black Shine. He was a Well, he is a hero, superhero, and he's muscular and he has this speedo on. I was like, oh, okay, they got a black hero, and then they just recently, or not recently, but a couple of issues ago. And spoilers, if you haven't listened, spoilers, everybody. His backstory was he was just a regular Japanese guy, and then he decided to work out, and then he got a tan, and that's how he became a superhero. And I was like, oh, well,
Oh.
that kind of sucks because I thought he was just always this black guy, and then maybe he worked out. So I'm a bit disappointed in that because when they, and by they I mean just the anime culture and the manga culture, sometimes they have these worlds, and it's not like our world. It doesn't have the different nations. It's just a big fantasy world or a big technological world, or it's in the future. And there really aren't any black characters.
Mm-hmm.
And I can understand, maybe since there's no black characters in their country, but if they're talking about this whole world, there has to be different cultures there, because every now and then you'll see somebody who's supposed to be stereotypical European white, in which you can always tell when a white person is there in an anime or a manga because they're like, ooh, look at her. Wow, isn't she foreign? She's blonde and blue eyes, or he's
Mm-hmm.
blonde and blue eyes, something like that. And every now and then you'll see a black character on that, or you will think that character is black, but they're just very, very tanned. And you're just like, oh, okay. But I do like that we're getting better and we're starting to have anime and manga that is made um, for the black culture. And by the black culture, one of my favorites right now is Cannon Busters, which is on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
I love the soundtrack. I love the story. I hope Netflix does a second season of it because I'd like to know more of it. And also there's a Yusuke, which is recently on Amazon. It's about a black samurai who is during the samurai times, and he has to deal with racism of being a foreign samurai there with the Tokugawa government and everything like that. So that's very interesting as well.
Yeah, I meant to check into that because has that already started on Netflix or is that coming this year? Because I
Oh, it started
saw.
on Netflix.
Okay.
They already have the first season up there.
Oh, the first season. Oh, all right.
Mhm.
I'm gonna have to go check it out. I'm a fan of Lakeith.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so so
so
definitely
good,
what I
so good.
see. And to your point, I was actually reading at nerdist.com that on this issue and how there are more other studios that are making anime that's more inclusive and black owned studios that will allow for there to be more black voices at the table and in the writing rooms and animators that can help uh, help with representation for characters so that we can have more black representation that is positive in anime. uh,
Nice, yeah.
and there's a quote, I have it here. It says, quote, "We are not only consumers, but also influencers, thereby changing antiquated thoughts of worlds that lack black people, but include our culture. An art form that gets to dictate the rules of reality on screen is the perfect place to escape, show up, and make an impact as a black fan." And I think, oh, end quote. And I think you summed that up on top of what I was already thinking about, that we can be a part of these spaces, but also, and I mentioned this in previous episodes, but like it's important not just that we're represented, but that we have a seat at the table, that we're getting these roles and these jobs within entertainment because our culture is used all the time. And so we should be able to be a part of making decisions on who's cast or what characters look like and how they speak and where they come from, and that we should be a part of the conversation, as opposed to every once in a while we might see a black character or a character who might seem black and it turns out they backstep and they're not, or it's so much easier to avoid faux pas if you actually have black voices involved in creating works, creating anything really.
Oh yeah.
So things are getting better bit by bit, and hopefully for this next generation, it won't be so hard to be a part of certain fandoms. Because it's been tricky, and as you know, listen to past episodes, y'all, and you will hear it has been a challenge, but in the end, it is worth it because we belong in all of these spaces. Every space we go into, we belong there, and we should be represented, and so it matters.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I always say it's not only Black people, but also Latinx, and we just got to bring our fellow brothers and sisters out there, because when, at least in my group of friends, when we talk about anime and manga, we have a different spectrum of just people, Muslim, Latinx, Black. We all just get together and we all love this, and we all love seeing our own representation in that. Everybody loves that, and it's just fantastic. And like you said, it is going to get better. I mean, I hate to say that, it's going to take a lot of time, but it is. I mean, we still have people who were alive when segregation was around. I mean, you could talk to somebody who's probably in their 80s, and they could tell you, yeah, when I was born, I had one fountain and this person had another fountain. I mean, when you still have people around who still remember that, and some of those people are making the big decisions for our culture, then yeah, it's going to take a while.
Now, lastly, what life lessons have you learned in your fandom experience?
Never give up. Always strive to move forward. Black girls watch anime and rock. What else? It's okay to be that odd kid, it's all right, because you're going to find your crew, you're going to find your people. It might be difficult, but in the end, when you find them, it's going to be worth it.
So true. Yeah. Do you have any recommendations for any newbies? Anything you would recommend for a first-time anime watcher to get them into it, get them started, or manga, either way, or both?
Sure. I recommend Cowboy Bebop. I love Cowboy Bebop. It has great story, great music. It's just a fantastic anime. I love it a lot. I would also recommend, it's not really anime, it's I guess it would be kind of Western anime, but we were talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender. My daughter would kill me if she found out that I didn't recommend that, but it is a great story. And I just love it when there's a female character who's strong and she really gets in there and she fights. So the second series of Avatar, it's called Avatar: The Legend of Korra, and I really love her character. She's very human. She makes mistakes, and I just love when I get to hear something from a female perspective, and I just love that. And there is also manga. There's a lot of manga out. Oh, there's one called Clock Striker that is all about a handicapped Black girl who is trying to be she's an apprentice, and it's in a fantasy world, and it just, I only read the one chapter, but it looks like it's about to kick off, and it's going to be really, really good.
Great recommendations. Do you want to give a shout out to anyone who might be listening?
Oh, I don't think anyone's listening to me. They're listening to your podcast, but then as soon as they come on, they're like, Maurice is here. Oh, no, let's turn it. Shout out to my
well, you gotta shout out to your haters then. In that case.
Oh no, I don't think I have haters. They just don't pay attention to me. No, shout out to my co-stars, co-hosts, Brian and Pless. I know they're going to make fun of me. They always do. It's all good. Nothing but love, brothers. And a shout out to blerdygirls.com. Fantastic artist. What she does is she has graphic tees and different kind of graphics that really showcase Black girls' love for comics, TV, movies, anime, and she draws Black girls and Black women in anime style, and it's just perfect and fantastic. I'm actually going to get my kids some of her items.
That's awesome. Now, lastly, of course, I need to ask you about your podcast. Can you tell us a little bit about your show and where we can find it? And also, don't forget to let us know where we can find you on social media.
Oh, sure. I am a host, one of the hosts who Blerds Guide to the Galaxy. Just do a search for it wherever you find your podcasts, on Apple, Spotify, Google Casts. Also, we are on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We like to promote all of our Black cosplayers because we know that Black cosplay and also Latinx cosplay does not get enough love out there. So we like to promote that as much as possible. And that's where you can find us on social media.
I think that's all I've got. Yeah. I'm double checking my notes. Did I cover everything? All right. Well, thank you so much for your time, Maurice. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, and be sure to check out Blerds Guide to the Galaxy. Go listen to it right now. Go subscribe to this podcast and his. If you haven't done those things, then you're late, you're slipping. Do it now. And thank you for your time, Maurice. I hope you have a great weekend.
No, thank you. I've had fun here. It was a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to Standing While Black, a weekly podcast discussing Black experiences in fandom. Follow this podcast on all of your favorite streaming apps and visit standingwhileblack.com for show notes and to apply to be a guest on the show. This podcast is written, produced, and hosted by me, Ashley Briggs. Show your support and get early access to new episodes by joining the Standing While Black fandom on Patreon. Let's geek out together.